Approaching a construction site or a place where an engineering firm is building or conducting repairs, one would see a big red sign advising the public to exercise caution with work in progress written boldly on it. This sign is usually put up from the beginning of the project, long before the beauty of what the engineer and his team are creating is evident to the public. It warns people to tread carefully around there. When a man forsakes his past and steps into the loving embrace of Jesus, the Lord begins to work in him immediately. He is encouraged to hand over all worries, inadequacies, fears, and shortcomings to the supremacy of Christ. Along with the start of this work is the confidence every believer has that he who begins the good work of your spiritual formation can sustain it through the years and see it through to the end. It was with this confidence that Paul wrote to the church in Philippi in Philippians 1 verse 6 that, "And I am convinced and sure of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will continue until the day of Jesus Christ, right up to the time of his return, developing that good work and perfecting and bringing it to full completion in you." To the eyes of an outsider or a layman, a construction site is the home of disorderliness and chaos. Wet concrete is heaped here, a bag of nails upturned there. The notable thing is that in the midst of all that upheaval, there is a systematic orderliness hidden in the disorganization. It takes a trained eye to detect it. In the same way, it may look like your life is moving in no distinct direction. You may not understand how events unfold. You may be uncertain about a lot of things. Perhaps you have given up hope trying to make sense of the situation you find yourself in. There may be a lot of questions in your mind. When will my miracle come? How will it come? Even if you are still hopeful, your friends and family may have written you off. Like they asked of Jesus many years ago, people may be wondering of you, can anything good come out of Nazareth? People may have run their analysis and concluded that you are a mess and incapable of any productive output. You may be facing ridicule from those dear to you, some even younger than you are. Pay them no mind. The chief cornerstone is working on you. Your entirety makes absolute sense to him. His plans include tying up all the loose ends. God's blueprint for your life is not for anyone to understand or approve of. Don't be discouraged. Don't be afraid. Hold your head up high. No matter the chaos, the problems, the struggles, the insults, the mockery, and the pain, don't belittle or forget the work that God is doing inside you, on you, around you, for you. You are a work in progress. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. On that journey, there are potholes in the road, mountains and valleys, highs and lows, rivers and deserts, abundance and lack. Patience is that virtue that will see the journey through to the end. Be patient with yourself. Be familiar with the concept of time and the super reality and superiority of God's timing. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be unreasonable in your self-demands. When you make mistakes, accommodate your excesses, learn from them, grow. When you fall, stand up. That is what progress is all about in the first place. Overcoming stagnation and moving from one point to another. Don't get overly exasperated when you do not see results playing out the way you predicted and expected. God is always on time. There is no such thing as too late with him. It just doesn't exist. There is no sell by date, nor is there a best before parameter. Age may not be on your side, but God holds the times and seasons in his hands. He commands them. Time is not a defining or limiting factor, neither is it a restricting order when it comes to God and the actualization and manifestation of his plans. Relax and don't be worked up. Just walk in line with God's stipulations and watch how everything turns out beautifully in the end for your favor. Avoid comparison. A blacksmith has many tools, some for tearing apart, some for scraping off excesses, others for grinding. He knows the function of each and uses them accordingly to suit purpose. Some of the metals he works on spend longer hours in the fiery furnace than others. It is virtually the same thing with humans, whose destinies lie in the hands of God. God's design for life differs from person to person, based on his divine purpose and will, and also how he intends to use them. That things are progressing a certain way for your friend or colleague doesn't mean that your progress should be measured by the same yardstick. The what is good for the goose is good for the gander saying is not applicable in God's kingdom. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't judge yourself by what another has achieved. When you do that, you may find yourself falling short, then begin to grumble. From grumbling, you get dissatisfied, and in that state of dissatisfaction, you lose focus of your goal and may even resort to shortcuts. That never ends well. Resist the urge to be intimidated by others' success. Rejoice with them while holding out hope for your own time of celebration. It will surely come. Believe in yourself. You are not an abandoned project. You are a work in progress. We often make the great mistake of being lax and assuming we have reached the peak of our progress when we see things go well in our lives. We are not equipped to be the judges of that. On the contrary, we remain God's work in progress for as long as we draw breath from our lungs. Every day, he imparts something new. Be teachable. Be open to learn, unlearn and relearn. Be humble. So far as we are God's children, growth and progress are two phenomena constantly associated with us. A child never really outgrows its parents. When you recognize pride and the reluctance to be corrected setting in your behavior, be quick to remind yourself that you are God's work in progress. The public eye is on you. People are looking up to you as a sterling example. The accuser of the brethren is trying so hard to accuse you before God. Be ever conscious and vigilant. Don't give him leverage over you. It doesn't matter how God chooses to bring out the progress. Inasmuch as we are under his tutelage and care, we ought to recognize his every instruction and carry them out faithfully, without fear. God is intent on developing and fine-tuning and tweaking you to glory and perfection. And until that glorious day of his return, when you would have attained completion, you are a work in progress.